Jordan's evil plot crumbles as Claire makes a pivotal decision and Billy sounds the alarm on the missing Newmans. At Newman Media, Audra walks into the office with a stack of files, drops them, sighs, and looks at a photo of Victor and Nikki before leaving Nikki a voicemail asking that she please get back to her. She needs her help and doesn't know when she's coming home. It's really unlike you to go off the grid like this. I hope everything is okay. At Crimson Lights, Billy leaves Victoria a voicemail asking her to call him back and let him know everything's okay. Nate walks in and Billy asks him if he's heard from Victoria. Nate hasn't. Billy explains that he got a message saying Nikki had a seizure and hasn't heard from her since. She sounded frantic on the phone. We were supposed to spend the weekend together visiting the kids at boarding school and I'd like to know what's going on. Nate wants to know more about Nikki's condition. Billy is surprised that Nate wasn't Victoria's first call. Nate texts Victoria and tells Billy that he's not sure she'll respond, but he'll let Billy know if she does. Billy fishes to find out if they've split up. He heard he's leaving Newman and wonders if that has anything to do with this. Nate sighs. If he must know, he and Victoria hit a rough patch. Billy asks, "What did you do, Nate?" Nate says he fell into one of Victor's infamous traps. Billy can relate and shares that the mustache had Victoria arrested on their wedding day. He can fight or calmly cut his losses and move on. Nate isn't about to get into the details, but feels he did everything right. Victor misinterpreted his advice, so Victoria and Nick did, too. Billy notes that Victoria has gotten better at standing up to her father, so he has to believe she had a reason to turn against him. Nate doesn't have the energy to explain himself to someone whose opinion doesn't matter to him. Billy says, for what it's worth, he sympathizes with him for being the latest Victor Newman casualty. Nate flashes to his last argument with Victoria and tells Billy he appreciates his sympathy, but he'll land on his feet. Billy asks if he got a response to his text. Nate says, nothing, which isn't a huge surprise. Billy hasn't heard from her either. He's worried that something serious has happened with Nikki. He's assuming that she's taking care of her mother, but he excuses himself to try again. Audra walks in and tells Nate that Nikki's not responding either. He tells her Nikki had a seizure. Billy explains they don't know much, but her message was frantic. Audra can't get a hold of Claire either. Billy wonders, what the hell is going on here? Upstairs, Victor asks Jordan whose blood is on the knife. She chuckles as he tells her to put the knife down. Jordan fumes, put the knife down? You're giving me orders, Victor Newman, after what you did to my sister. Victor argues that her sister tried to kill his wife. Jordan hisses that they're living together happily ever after at her sister's expense, adding that he encouraged Victoria and Cole to abandon their baby. Victor says, they did no such thing. Jordan thinks Claire was better off. I loved her. I gave her guidance. I gave her purpose. Victor intones, you turned that girl into a monster. Jordan muses that she hated to bring Cole into it, but maybe one day he'll forgive her. Nikki frowns as she asks what she's talking about. Victor warns, she's trying to kill us. Jordan notes he's slurring his words and says it won't be much longer. Downstairs, Cole and Victoria attend to Nick as Claire looks on with a panicked expression. Victoria pleads with her to call an ambulance. Claire complains that it wasn't supposed to be this way. They were only supposed to be hurt emotionally. She waited 20 years to hear Victoria tell her how horrible she felt for leaving her. She wants to hear her say she's sorry. Victoria is sorry for the lies her aunt told her. She's sorry for the ways she was raised with so much hate. Claire whimpers, Aunt Jordan wouldn't lie to me. Victoria says they loved their baby. Cole hollers that she was lied to and she's better than this. Victoria pleads, this is wrong. We're dying. Call an ambulance please, we'll help you. Please, just help us, Claire. Claire agonizes. Upstairs, Victor asks Jordan, so, you say the poison is about to kill me? Then I might as well take you down with me. He knocks the knife out of her hand, pushes her onto the bed, and pulls Nikki out the door, and then locks Jordan in the bedroom. Downstairs, Victoria cries out in relief when Victor comes down the stairs with her mom. They all fawn over Nick and Victor asks Claire to call an ambulance and give them the antidote. Claire asks, where is Aunt Jordan? Victor mutters, who cares about that bitch? He says she's upstairs and will spend the rest of her life in prison. If any of them die because of Claire's inaction, she will meet a fate worse than this. Nikki asks her assistant how she could do this. What kind of a monster are you? Victoria pleads with Claire to turn this around for all of them. Cole promises they'll help her, but we can't do that unless you help us. Nikki warns the rest of her life depends on what she does next. Claire walks to the drawer containing their phones and pulls out the bottles containing the antidotes. She explains that Nikki doesn't need it, she was only given an 4 with alcohol. Claire goes off to find the rest and Victoria makes Victor drink the antidote. Nick struggles to his feet and makes it to the drawer to get his phone and call 911. Nick gives the address and tells the operator they've been poisoned and need an ambulance. Claire appears with the remaining doses of antidote and gives it to Nick and Victoria. Cole and Victoria realize they're all going to make it and help is on the way. He tells her, "I'm so sorry. My aunt. I didn't know." Victoria says, "Of course you didn't know." Cole says, "Our baby. She's dead, right?" Victoria says, "Yeah, she's dead." Claire hears and turns away. Victoria tells Cole, "Our baby, Eve, is dead." Victoria checks on her parents as Claire sits and cries. At Crimson Lights, Nate tells Billy that the whole family flew out to be with Nikki. Billy says Abby said the same thing. Audra managed to get a hold of Casey, but she hasn't heard from Nikki, who was going to surprise her. Nate figures they're still all in Oregon with Claire and her aunt. Billy wants to call the authorities. Nate argues the point, they've been out of touch for half a day. Billy points out it's the head of Newman Enterprises and Newman Media and suggests calling hospitals. He'll find out where the jet landed and go from there. They debate whether or not to draw attention to a private family situation. Nate asks, "What kind of trouble do you think they're in, Billy?" Billy leaves Victor a voicemail and tells Nate, "Nothing." Usually, he'd jump at the chance to berate him one-on-one. Nate wonders if, deep down, Victor has great affection for him. Billy shakes his head, he hates him. His mother, Jill, is far more vicious, but underneath there's love. Not with Victor. Nate shrugs that he treated him with admiration at times. Billy asks if they're buddies. Nate says everything was going well, until it wasn't. Audra says she couldn't reach Nick. Billy decides it's time to worry. He'll stop by Newman Towers to see if anyone has information they can use. They all agree to keep each other updated. After Billy goes, Audra tells Nate she can tell he's worried about Victoria. "I'm surprised." Nate says her choices hurt him, that doesn't mean he stopped caring about her. She warns him against getting sucked back into the Newman vortex. Nate agrees he's better off away from Victor, but he has no idea if there's still a future for him and Victoria. Audra says she'll always choose Newman over him and he deserves a whole lot better. Audra reminds Nate that her offer to come and work with her is still open. Nate asks why he'd accept an offer for a job he knows nothing about. Audra says the important part is that he'll be working with her. Nate muses that he admires her self-confidence. He asks where she developed that skill. "I'm interested in how you became you." Audra fobs him off. All that matters is that she's there with him in Genoa City doing what she does best. Nate tells her she's a one-of-a-kind piece of work, but, before I accept this so-called job offer of yours, I'm going to need a little more to go on. Audra will give him a few hints over dinner. He agrees, it's a date. At the lake house, the paramedics and police are on the scene. Cole explains they'll all be examined at the hospital. Nikki's just glad it's over. Victor asks the officer if she arrested the woman in the bedroom. The officer says there was no one upstairs or in any other room in the house. The window was open, but it was too high to jump. Nikki asks Claire, who is being arrested, where her aunt would hide. Claire has no idea. Billy walks into Victor's office and pulls out his phone. At the lake house, Nick answers his phone, "Billy." Billy asks what the hell is going on. Nick can't get into it right now, but they're all together and everyone's safe. Billy worries, is everyone really alright? Nick lets him go. Victor tells the officer she needs to find Jordan, who is criminally insane. As Claire's being led out the door, she tells Victoria she doesn't know what to say. She doesn't even know who she is anymore. "I'm sorry." Victor complains that she's just as bad as her aunt, she's nuts. Cole announces the EMTs are ready to take them to the hospital. Victor leads Nikki out the door and the others follow. Up in a vent, Aunt Jordan watches them go. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button for more update news.